and you just gave it all up for the distant future? That's what the Lakers just did. This is a Jeannie Buss special. She needs a superstar post-LeBron. Luka is still 25. He's almost 26, but he's still, as we speak, 25 years of age. This is a move for the long term for the Lakers for when there's no more LeBron, and I don't know exactly when that's going to be. But with a 25-year-old Luka, you're good to go. You're good to gold. You've got your superstar for the next, 10-ish years? 12 years? I don't know. Luka doesn't take care of himself the way LeBron does, but he could play.
What makes this Lakers situation so fascinating isn't just the move itself. It's what the move seems to represent. A lot of people looked at the organization bringing in Luka and immediately saw a franchise thinking beyond the present. And the moment that happened, it opened the door for one of Skip Bayless's favorite debates all over again. To Skip, this isn't simply about roster construction or long-term planning. He views it as another piece of evidence in the ongoing Michael Jordan versus LeBron James conversation. His argument has always centered on the idea that Jordan never found himself in a situation where an organization appeared to be preparing for someone else's era, while he was still the centerpiece. That's why this story grabbed his attention so quickly. The interesting part is that none of this changes what LeBron has accomplished. He's still one of the greatest players the sport has ever seen. He's still capable of performing at an elite level, generating massive attention and shaping the direction of every season he's involved in. But front offices don't have the luxury of thinking only about today. Their job is to think about the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and what happens after a superstar eventually moves on. That's where Luka enters the conversation. He's younger, he's already established himself as a franchise-level talent, and many people view him as the type of player a team can build around for the next decade. Whether the Lakers intended it or not, that reality creates a noticeable shift in perception. LeBron may still be the face fans associate with this era of Lakers basketball, but Luka increasingly looks like the player tied to the organization's future. And that's the angle Skip keeps coming back to. He interprets the Lakers' investment in Luka as a sign that the franchise is already preparing for what's next. Some people see that as a completely normal basketball decision. Others view it as a subtle indication that the organization has begun looking beyond the player who helped deliver the 2020 championship. That difference in interpretation is what makes the debate so interesting. Because if LeBron is still considered the centerpiece of the franchise, why does it feel like so much attention is already focused on the next chapter? And if the transition has already started while he's still playing at a high level, then naturally people are going to connect that discussion back to the never-ending GOAT debate. That's exactly why this conversation isn't going away anytime soon.
There's this runaway train about Luka scored 600 points in March. And I'm going to piss Nick off.
A lot of points.
Okay. Once upon a time, and it wasn't that long ago, still in the modern era, 1987, Michael Jordan in the month of March scored 676 points. So he scored 76 more points than Luka just scored in a month.
When people talk about this deal, it's important to understand the scale of what actually happened. This wasn't the kind of trade that quietly improves a bench or fills a roster need. The Lakers moved Anthony Davis, a cornerstone player who played a major role in bringing a championship to Los Angeles alongside LeBron James. In return, they acquired Luka Dončić, one of the most gifted offensive players in basketball, and a superstar capable of transforming the direction of an entire franchise overnight. Moves like that don't happen unless an organization is thinking about much more than the upcoming season. That's why so many people immediately viewed this as a long-term statement from the Lakers. Luka isn't the type of player teams acquire to simply play a supporting role. He's too accomplished, too valuable, and too central to a franchise's future for that kind of positioning. The reality is that Los Angeles now has a player many believe can carry the organization for years to come. And whether fans want to acknowledge it or not, that naturally changes the conversation around LeBron's place in the franchise. LeBron still commands enormous respect. He still draws attention unlike almost anyone else in the league. And every time he steps on the court, he's treated like one of the defining figures in basketball history. But at the same time, the Lakers appear to have secured the player they envision leading the next era. That's where Skip Bayless sees another opening in the Jordan versus LeBron debate. For years, Skip has measured LeBron against Michael Jordan using standards that leave little room for compromise. From his perspective, the Lakers preparing for a future centered around Luka creates a contrast with how he remembers Jordan's final years in Chicago. Skip often points out that Jordan wasn't sharing the spotlight with a younger superstar being positioned as the franchise's next face while chasing championships with the Bulls. Instead, he left Chicago after completing a dynasty that remained closely tied to his leadership and success. LeBron's situation feels different because the transition appears to be happening while he's still an active part of the team's plans. The Lakers clearly continue to value what he brings both on and off the floor, but they also seem to be planning for what comes after him. And that's the part fueling so much discussion, not because anyone is questioning LeBron's greatness, but because the organization's vision now appears to include a future where Luka sits at the center of everything. That's exactly why this trade continues to spark conversations that go far beyond basketball strategy and straight into legacy territory.
Go, you're good to gold. You've got your superstar for the next, 10-ish years? 12 years? I don't know. Luka doesn't take care of himself the way LeBron does, but he could play 10 more good to great.
What's interesting is that none of this suddenly changes who LeBron James is as a player. His legacy was built on surviving different eras, adapting to different teammates, and finding ways to remain elite no matter what situation he stepped into. We've seen him win championships with different organizations, different coaches, and completely different supporting casts. But the Luka Dončić situation introduces a challenge that feels unique compared to anything else he's dealt with during his career. For perhaps the first time, LeBron may have to operate alongside a player who isn't simply another all-star or another scoring option. Luka is viewed as a franchise centerpiece. That's a completely different conversation. The adjustment isn't really about talent because both players are obviously elite. The adjustment is about role and responsibility. Luka's entire style revolves around having the ball in his hands, controlling pace, reading defenses, and dictating how possessions unfold. That's what has made him one of the most dangerous offensive players in basketball. The fascinating part is that those same traits have defined LeBron's greatness for years. Both players thrive when they have the freedom to orchestrate everything around them. So when they share the floor, the biggest question isn't whether they can play together. The real question is how the hierarchy gets established. Who becomes the primary decision maker late in games? Who initiates the offense when both are available? Who does the coaching staff lean on when a possession absolutely has to work? And beyond the court, who does the organization view as the foundation moving forward? Those aren't simple basketball questions. They're tied to leadership, legacy, and the natural transition that every franchise eventually goes through. When two players with elite basketball minds and dominant playmaking instincts are asked to coexist, clarity becomes extremely important. If those roles get sorted out early, the partnership can thrive. If they don't, the conversation around the Lakers could quickly shift from talent to tension. That's why so many people are watching this situation closely. Talent has never been a concern. Figuring out how two players accustomed to steering everything fit into the same long-term vision is the real storyline.
The franchise, not the full team, just, JJ. The franchise unofficially made that message public. It is ready to usher in the Luka Dončić era in Los Angeles, even if that means sunsetting the LeBron James one. Brew, your reaction to this quote and the article overall.
The first postseason appearance with LeBron James and Luka Dončić sharing the spotlight didn't exactly silence the doubts. Instead, the Lakers' first-round exit against Minnesota gave skeptics even more reason to question whether this version of the team is built to contend. Fair or not, expectations change when a roster features players of that caliber. Fans aren't interested in hearing that chemistry needs time to develop. They're not focused on excuses involving adjustments, injuries, or lineup issues. The standard becomes incredibly simple: win games and make deep playoff runs. When that doesn't happen, every decision starts getting re-examined. Suddenly, the partnership gets scrutinized, the roster construction comes under fire, and the entire vision behind the team becomes a topic of debate. That playoff loss also reopened discussions about the Anthony Davis trade, because while Luka brings elite shot creation, playmaking, and offensive brilliance, Davis provided something entirely different. He gave the Lakers size, rim protection, defensive stability, and the type of postseason impact that often doesn't show up fully in the box score. For years, that defensive presence helped balance the roster around LeBron. Now, the Lakers are operating with a different identity. In many ways, they traded defensive security for long-term offensive firepower. That's not a minor adjustment. That's the kind of move that changes how a team functions on both ends of the floor. And once again, that's where Skip Bayless finds another angle in the conversation. When he looks back at Michael Jordan's Bulls, he sees a team where everyone understood exactly where they fit. Jordan was the unquestioned leader. Scottie Pippen handled his responsibilities as the elite secondary star and defensive force. Dennis Rodman owned his role as the rebounder and energy guy. The supporting cast knew what was expected every night. There wasn't much debate about hierarchy, leadership, or who would take control in the biggest moments. According to Skip's view, the answer was always obvious. With Jordan's Bulls, nobody had to wonder whose team it was. And that's the contrast he continues drawing when comparing those championship teams to the questions currently surrounding the Lakers.
Anyone who doesn't think they should be prioritizing building around 26-year-old Luka over 40-year-old LeBron is either suspended from reality or wants to create drama.
Correct.
The biggest question surrounding this Lakers era is simple. Who does the team truly belong to now? Because if Luka Dončić is the long-term answer, then eventually the entire system has to start shifting toward what makes him successful. The offense has to fit his strengths, his rhythm, and the way he naturally controls a game. But at the same time, if Los Angeles wants to maximize whatever championship window LeBron James has left, they can't ignore everything that has made him special for 2 decades. His decision-making, his ability to control tempo, and his understanding of big moments still matter. Trying to balance those two realities is where the real challenge begins. And the longer the Lakers take to define that balance, the more ammunition Skip Bayless has for his argument. From Skip's perspective, Jordan never had to share the spotlight or negotiate control of the franchise. He was the unquestioned leader. He was the person everything revolved around. That's the standard Skip continues using when he compares the two careers. But LeBron supporters see the situation completely differently. They argue that Jordan's story looks so perfect partly because his Chicago run ended before he had to deal with a complicated transition period. LeBron made a different choice. He continued playing at an elite level deep into his career, and that means he's experiencing situations Jordan never faced. He's not only trying to remain the best player possible, he's also trying to stay impactful while the organization begins preparing for the next chapter. If LeBron can successfully coexist with Luka and help the Lakers win, that creates another layer to his legacy. It would show that he could adapt not just to different teams and teammates, but to a changing role within the same franchise. A championship in that scenario would completely change the conversation. People would praise the way LeBron adjusted, and Luka would be viewed as a young superstar who grew alongside one of the greatest players ever. But the pressure works both ways. If the Lakers don't reach that level, every criticism will get louder. The same people questioning the setup now will say LeBron lost control of the franchise. They'll argue the organization moved toward Luka because LeBron was no longer enough to build around. And Skip's side of the debate will point back to Jordan, saying he never allowed that type of uncertainty to become part of his story. That's why the outcome matters so much. A championship changes the entire narrative. Falling short only gives every critic more material to use.
How many times, listen, like I told you before, we could joke around and disagree about the GOAT conversation between MJ and LeBron James. LeBron James is one of the greatest top 2-3 players in the history of this damn game. He is that sensational. I feel sorry for him so many times when I see him kicking it out to three-point shooters and they can't.
And that's exactly why this entire situation has become bigger than just a basketball decision. This is really about legacy, perception, and what happens when two massive stories collide at the same time. LeBron James has spent his entire career being compared to Michael Jordan, and almost every major moment gets added to that conversation. The championships, the losses, the team changes, and the playoff failures all become evidence in the never-ending debate. So when the Lakers make a move that clearly points toward Luka Dončić as the future, people don't just view it as a normal front office decision. They see it as a statement. For someone like Skip Bayless, this becomes another example supporting his belief that Jordan's legacy remains untouched. In his eyes, if even the Lakers are preparing for the era after LeBron, then that says something about where LeBron stands in comparison to MJ. But Luka is now caught right in the middle of that entire conversation. He didn't ask to be part of the Jordan versus LeBron debate. He didn't choose to become a symbol in someone else's argument. He simply became a Laker. And now, every moment he shares with LeBron gets analyzed differently. If Luka dominates while LeBron takes more of a secondary role, people will say the transition has already happened. If LeBron takes over games and Luka struggles, critics will question whether Luka is truly ready to lead. Every win will create debates about who deserves credit. Every loss will create questions about who should be blamed. That's the reality when two superstars with enormous reputations are sharing the same stage. The Lakers' decision can honestly be viewed from two completely different angles. On one side, bringing in Luka is an obvious basketball move because players with his talent and age don't become available often. Any franchise looking toward the future would have a hard time ignoring that opportunity. But on the other side, it also sends a message that the organization is already thinking beyond the LeBron era. And that's where the real debate begins. Did the Lakers disrespect LeBron by choosing another player to build around? Or did they simply do what every smart franchise eventually has to do and prepare for the next generation? Does this strengthen Skip Bayless's argument that Jordan was different because he never had to share control of his final chapter? Or does this give LeBron another chance to show a different type of greatness while succeeding while the spotlight shifts? Because if Luka and LeBron figure this out and win together, the Lakers will look like they made a genius move. People will say LeBron adapted, Luka grew, and the franchise handled the transition perfectly. But if they fall short, critics will point back to the same storyline. They'll say the Lakers moved on from LeBron before his time was truly finished. They'll say he lost control of the franchise he helped elevate. And they'll argue that Jordan's place at the top stayed exactly where it was.